На следующее утро, когда вода была на самом низком уровне,
The next morning, when the tide was at its lowest,
я вновь поплыл к кораблю.
I swam out to the ship again.
На борту было много вещей.
There were still many things on board,
которые могли бы быть полезны мне в моем островном доме.
Of it that might be useful to me in my island home.
Я желал сохранить все, что мог.
I wished to save all that I could.
Я взобрался по боку корабля вверх.
I climbed up the ship's side,
Точно так же, как я сделал днем ранее.
just as I had done the day before.
Прежде чем искать что-либо,
Before looking for anything.
я соорудил другой плот.
I made another raft.
Точно такой же, как первый.
Just like the first one.
Но меньше.
but smaller.
Это было не столь легко сделать.
It was not so easy to make.
Так как я уже использовал все лучшие доски.
For I had used up all the best planks.
Он не был ни таким большим, ни таким крепким, как первый.
It was neither so large nor so strong as the first raft.
В мастерской плотника
In the carpenter's shop.
я обнаружил 3 ящика гвоздей и точильный камень.
I found 3 bags of nails and a grindstone.
Я нашел также коробку, полную маленьких топориков.
I found also a box full of little hatchets.
И маленький бочонок мушкетных пуль.
And a small barrel of musket balls.
В комнате капитана я обнаружил 6 или 7 ружей.
In the captain's room I found 6 or 7 guns,
которые я проглядел ранее.
Which I had overlooked before.
И еще один бочонок пороха.
And another keg of powder.
Все эти вещи я погрузил с большой заботой на мой плот.
All these things I loaded with much care upon my raft.
Затем я собрал так много одежды, как мог найти.
Then I gathered up as many clothes as I could find.
А также запасной парус.
Also a spare sail.
И некоторые постельные принадлежности.
and some bedding.
Плот был теперь довольно полным.
The raft was now quite full.
Вещи были не тяжелыми.
The The things were not heavy.
Но они составляли большую груду.
But they made a large pile.
Когда поток повернулся к берегу,
When the tide turned for the shore.
и вскоре плыл к дому.
And was soon floating homeward.
На корабле я нашел хорошее весло.
I had found a good oar in the ship.
Я использовал его как байдарочное весло.
This I used as a paddle.
И не имел трудностей в направлении плота.
And I had no trouble in guiding the raft.
К правильному месту высадки.
To the right landing place.
Я посмотрел, были ли вещи сохранными, которые я принес днем ранее.
I looked to see if the goods were safe which I brought over the day before.
Там, на одном из моих ящиков,
There on one of my chests.
я увидел странное животное, сидящее.
I saw a strange animal sitting.
Оно выглядело как дикая кошка.
She looked like a wild cat.
Когда я пошел к ней,
As I went toward her,
она прыгнула вниз.
She jumped down.
И немного отбежала.
And ran a little way.
Затем она остановилась.
Then she stood still.
Я последовал.
I followed.
Она стояла очень неподвижно.
She stood very firm.
И смотрела мне в лицо.
And looked in my face.
Она смотрела так, как если бы имела намерение познакомиться.
She looked as though she had a mind to get acquainted.
Я нацелил на нее мое ружье
I pointed my gun at her.
и крикнул.
And shouted.
Но она не обеспокоилась этим.
But she did not care for that.
В моем кармане был кусок печенья.
I had a bit of biscuit in my pocket.
Я бросил его ей.
This I now tossed toward her.
Бери это и уходи.
Take this and be gone.
Оно подкатилось довольно близко к ее носу.
It rolled quite close to her nose.
Она понюхала его и съела.
She smelled of it and ate it.
Затем она подняла взгляд, ожидая еще.
Then she looked up for more.
Спасибо, у меня нет больше дать тебе.
Thank you, I have no more to give you.
Поняла ли она меня?
Whether she understood me.
Я не знаю.
I do not know.
Она повернулась и удалилась.
She turned and marched away.
И вот я приступил к работе.
I now set to work.
Чтобы доставить мой второй груз на берег.
To get my second cargo on shore.
Это было нелегкой задачей.
It was no easy task.
И мне пришлось проделать много путешествий к плоту и от плота.
And I had to make many trips to and from the raft.
Когда все было успешно сгружено,
When everything was safely landed,
я сделал навес из паруса и нескольких колышков, которые я срезал.
I made me a little tent with the sail and some poles that I cut.
Но я положил все под навес, что нужно было хранить в сухости.
then I put everything into the tent that needed to be kept dry.
Пустые коробки я сложил снаружи.
The empty boxes I piled outside.
Они образовали нечто вроде стены вокруг навеса.
They made a kind of wall around the tent.
Подобную стене крепости.
Like the wall of a fort.
Это удержит диких зверей снаружи.
This will keep the wild beasts out.
К этому времени день почти закончился.
By this time the day was nearly done.
Я расстелил одну из постелей на земле.
I spread one of the beds on the ground.
Я положил 2 заряженных пистолета около ее изголовья.
I laid 2 loaded pistols near its head.
И одно из ружей возле нее.
And one of the guns by one side of it.
Затем я залез внутрь.
Then I crept in.
И скоро крепко заснул.
And was soon fast asleep.
This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, visit LibriVox.org. Robinson Crusoe written anew for children by James Baldwin. Chapter 12. I have a strange visitor. The next morning, when the tide was at its lowest, I swam out to the ship again. There were still many things on board of it that might be useful to me in my island home. I wished to save all that I could. I climbed up the ship's side just as I had done the day before. Before looking for anything, I made another raft, just like the first one, but smaller. It was not so easy to make, for I had used up all the best planks. It was neither so large nor so strong as the first raft. In the carpenter's shop I found 3 bags of nails and a grindstone. I found also a box full of little hatchets and a small barrel of musket balls. In the captain's room I found 6 or 7 guns, which I had overlooked before, and another keg of powder. All these things I loaded with much care upon my raft. Then I gathered up as many clothes as I could find, also a spare sail, a hammock, and some bedding. The raft was now quite full. The things were not heavy, but they made a large pile. When the tide turned for the shore, I cut loose and was soon floating homeward. I had found a good oar in the ship. This I used as a paddle, and I had no trouble in guiding the raft to the right landing place. I looked to see if the goods were safe which I brought over the day before. There, on one of my chests, I saw a strange animal sitting. She looked like a wild cat. As I went toward her, she jumped down and ran a little way. Then she stood still. I followed. She stood very firm and looked in my face. She looked as though she had a mind to get acquainted. I pointed my gun at her and shouted, but she did not care for that. I had a bit of biscuit in my pocket. This I now tossed toward her. "Take this and be gone," I shouted. Biscuits were not so many that I could well spare any, but I spared the poor animal this little bit. It rolled quite close to her nose. She smelled of it and ate it. Then she looked up for more. "Thank you, I have no more to give you," I said. Whether she understood me, I do not know, but with that she turned and marched away. I now set to work to get my second cargo on shore. It was no easy task, and I had to make many trips to and from the raft. When everything was safely landed, I made me a little tent with a sail and some poles that I cut. Then I put everything into the tent that needed to be kept dry. The empty boxes I piled outside. They made a kind of wall around the tent, like the wall of a fort. "This will keep the wild beasts out," I said. By this time the day was nearly done. I spread one of the beds on the ground. I laid 2 loaded pistols near its head, and one of the guns by one side of it. Then I crept in and was soon fast asleep.